Wonder if I'm live. Well, Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Boykin, and I'm here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. Um, I hope you got a chance to see the interview with Whitney Webb from yesterday. If not, please do check that out. Um, I am working with my producer Barry, who owns the studio where I occasionally shoot, to clean up the audio from that a little bit better. I heard to hear Whitney, and I apologize for that. But we're trying to buff that out in post. Um, the United States military, in a response to drone strikes and missile strikes on Saudi oil fields, that according to at least the Yemeni Houthis, were responsible for sending those, is being used as a provocation by the neocons and warhawks in the Trump administration and in the Democratic leadership to push for war in Iran. We have sent committed U.S. troops, Saudi Arabia, to protect these oil fields. I understand that the U.S. military is the largest state sponsor of global terrorism, the largest polluter internationally, and that we have several offshoot mercenary groups, essentially, Eric Prince's outlets and a number of others, that function as, rented soldiers for several different countries around the world. But this is an instance where the United States military is basically being rented out by the Saudi royal kingdom to what? To protect a fucking natural resource that, if you look at the drone strikes, you look at where the missile strikes landed, what they did was they took out a couple of oil wells, which creates a giant explosion, a big dramatic billowing cloud of black smoke. It was very emotion provoking kind of attack that damaged no key infrastructure to any of these oil fields. The U.S. is trying to blame Iran for this, even though the Yemeni Houthis have claimed responsibility for it, not once but twice, as an act of retaliation for the almost decade-long genocide that's being played out in Yemen, with the full approval, help, and funding and armaments of the United States military. It would not surprise me whatsoever for Yemen to be responsible for this, because the missiles themselves were manufactured in Iran. That is being used as the proof that Iran was behind these attacks. Of course, it has been an almost 20-year fetish and fantasy for the United States military to complete their list of countries that Wes Clark named off as to the Mideast countries that we were going to destabilize, topple in the name of, I don't know, spreading around some freedom juice, some good old-fashioned American-style democracy. It's fucking disgusting. I guess it is what we're is what I'm trying to say. This attack is less than a few days old, and according to the article I have in front of me, which is out of the BBC Canada, that I'll put in the show notes, Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, former CIA director, current and complete and lifelong piece of shit, called the strikes an act of war. Well, Saudi Arabia has been committing a slow burning genocide in Yemen for years now, the U.S. military supplies Saudi Arabia with arms, with funds, with troops, with intel, so that they can continue their slow burning genocide in Yemen. If Yemen can get a hold of a couple of missiles and shoot back, why would you be surprised, Mike Pompeo? Why would you act like this is something that's our fucking job? Um, A U.S. Navy destroyer is being stationed in the northern Gulf to intercept any missiles coming from that direction. The Pentagon has also announced further deployment of troops to Saudi Arabia to help the country bolster its anti-missile defenses, because boots on the ground, the people who have, and we'll get to this in a second, join the military for any number of reasons, one of which is the promise of getting out of debt. Those boots on the ground, that helps bolster anti-missile defense. How? Are they sending actual vehicles that shoot down missiles? Probably, but troops. We need to commit a troop presence to this region to be babysitters for the Aramco oil fields. And that is, I guess it's par for the fucking course for the U.S. military. An article went by my news feed on the tweeters the other day, and I haven't seen anyone report on it. Do you guys know I've been busy? I've been working my ass off at a new gig. I'm trying to get content out at night when I'm home. I finally was able to upload an interview that I did with Pat the Burner to the Patreon. That's a great conversation, and if you're a patron, please go check that out. If you're not a patron and you'd like to become one, patreon.com/slownewsday. I don't ask for a tiered donation. There's you don't get more access to more content. If you contribute more, you get access to the content by being a patron in the first place. But this article and I wanted to do a show on it as soon as I had time. This is the opportunity for me to do that. So here we go. This is coming out of the Army Times, and I told you guys before that I will occasionally scroll through basically the trade magazines for the military as they were, the branches of the military as they were, just so I can laugh at shit like, we just finally got a direct energy weapon that we're now going to test, even though it's been several years, and you can find information about direct energy weapons on Lockheed Martin's website from 2015. At any rate, the Army Times put out this article 3 days ago, and it says, Army leadership gathered Tuesday to announce that they surpassed their recruiting goal for 2019, signing up more than 68,000 active duty soldiers before the end of the fiscal year. But the long wars in the Middle East weren't exactly part of the sales pitch. Major General Frank Muth, head of the Army Recruiting Command, told reporters one of the national crises right now is student loans. So $31,000 is about the average. You can get out of the Army after 4 years, 100% paid for state college anywhere in the U.S. A significant part of the recruiting push has been showing that the Army serves as a pathway to America's middle class, with several service leaders noting that their children use the GI Bill benefits and ROTC scholarships. As it stands, Army leaders anticipate exceeding this year's desired active duty end strength of 478,000 troops, landing in the range of 481 to 483,000 soldiers, thanks to solid retention rates. But new soldiers make up the bulk of the game. This is the United States Army talking openly about how they are preying on people who don't have money to go to college, would immediately put themselves into student loan debt were they to try to gain higher education. Um, Military recruiters in general are notorious fucking liars. Military recruiters told me when I was 17 years old and took the ASVAB test and tested exceptionally well, um, that oh yeah, I smoked pot the entire time I was in basic, and oh yeah, man, I fucking being in the army's just a lot like going to summer camp, blah blah blah, like all kinds of bullshit and lies that these people told me. You can be an individual and still be a member of the armed forces, shit like that. It is manipulative, deceptive, horrific. They're basically targeting the exact same people that Jeffrey Epstein would target when he was trying to get teenage girls to come and perform all kinds of horrific acts or face fucking death. The programming that's involved in breaking down someone's psyche to the point that where joining the military in a forever war based on a lie that everyone knows is breaking down a psyche like that and putting debt in front of someone's face, hanging it over their head, and pointing to the military as the only way out of this, ranks right up there, I believe, with people who are trying to gather and groom victims for elite pedophile networks. Let's see who we got in the chat right meow. Lane Peterson, Grandma Christine, Political Burdency, Dingo, Anthony Reyes, Chili Love, good morning. Nico is reposting Trump is sending troops to Saudi Arabia. That's good. I am glad. Friends who were conscripted and then they weren't given the paperwork for the tour. Yeah, there's all kinds of bullshit, dirty tricks that that the military plays in terms of meeting their recruitment goals and getting people to sign up to go murder strangers for the quarterly profits of Raytheon or to satisfy the never-ending greed of the banks that are ultimately at the heart of all of these wars. All wars are bankers' wars. This, us sending troops to Saudi Arabia for the specific purpose of safeguarding oil fields, should, to most people, underscore the fact that all wars are bankers' wars. This is fucking bullshit. I'm gonna read one more line out of this article from the Army Times, and then I saw a comment in the chat that kind of relates to it perfectly. It says the low unemployment rate and booming economy, which are laughable, know that, make recruiting difficult, especially when compared to past recruiting pushes during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars that lined up closer to a major global recession. So someone in the chat said that is why people are afraid of Bernie's tuition-free college plan, because it slows recruiting. There's very little about free college or tuition-free college that would safeguard people from an intentional economic collapse. We're due for another crash. We all know that whenever these happen, they're manufactured situations to further consolidate wealth and further consolidate power. When you couple that with hanging any kind of debt over the head of a kid. It does make going to fight in someone else's war for a bullshit reason seem a little bit more attractive. A neighbor who was a sergeant recruiter loved crank, as did his wife. They stole my lawn furniture when they left town after legally bailing on a mortgage. Wow. Yeah, I really, there's few people that rank as high in my book of scumbag as military recruiters. Straight up, that's shitty. Bernie's policies will enable strikes and hurt recruitment. It is it's possible that an unfettered Bernie Sanders presidency would do that. Number one, I don't hold out a whole lot of hope that Bernie Sanders will make it through the most openly rigged primary that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I say that as someone who has watched 2016 and 2018 happen, and also knowing that our election system, his policies certainly would. I guess the test of that is, getting the guy in office. But again, I'm not seeing much of a realistic way for that to happen. I don't know. Maybe sheer numbers will work. Maybe individual secretaries of state aren't as bought and crooked as I think they are. We kept Dare out too and rejected smart meters. Yes, you did. You're up in the Humboldt Free State. One of the things that I love about Arcata in general, and I hope it's the same still, but when I was hanging out up there, they didn't allow corporations to come in and set up and open a new business, open a franchise or a chain. They left his name out of the contenders for the, yeah, the constant manipulation by U.S. media to diminish the impact that Bernie Sanders has had on, I guess, average, ordinary people, and the way that it has emboldened a lot of people to start speaking up for values that are more inclusive and less capitalistic and less militaristic. That bell can't be unrung. That damage is done. Now what they have to do is fucking squash that spirit as hard as humanly possible. While I suppose at the same time promoting this green capitalism bullshit. Yeah, that public square, does the public square still have a live feed on it in Arcata? Because I remember at one point you could like straight up go and watch the fucking square from a website and be like, oh look, there's an arc. Oh look, there's a cop. Oh look, there's a fucking 3 kids I knew from Dead Tour. It was wild. Yeah, I have heard that Trump has tacitly admitted behind closed doors that he is nervous about having to go up against a candidate, Sanders. And honestly, all things being fair and all things being equal, which they aren't, but even in this fucked up reality, the only way to fight fake right-wing populism is with genuine left-wing populism. The hard part of that is then cranking out legislation that isn't so fucking watered down and terrible that it does the exact opposite of what it's intended to do. This is where decentralized activism comes into play. This is where organizing for something that isn't necessarily red team, blue team political, I suppose, is a better way to put that. Organizing outside of mainstream U.S. politics for a purpose that transcends either political party. I know that in Santa Cruz they didn't. They're doing the climate walkout thing on a different day. So I asked my 9th grader if he went, instead of making a Save the Planet poster or being like all the other good little unwilling green capitalists out there, he take a marker and piece of paper or fucking poster board and write Free Julian Assange on it. I hope that happens. Corporate YouTube, corporate media, and corporate candidates are setting up for next election, but it's too late already because the CIA talking points are still pushing Biden non-starters. Yeah, that's true. It's really hard to find a show that doesn't accidentally push a few CIA talking points. It really is. I got thanked yesterday after I interviewed Whitney Webb by her for not asking the same questions that everyone has asked her on every interview that she's done since she started writing this report. And I realized that it's kind of an anomaly to not do everybody's show. It's weird for me as an audience member to watch the same show with different hosts over and over and over again. Status quo pushes Greta. It's sad. Well, yeah, there's a handful of things about status quo that I'm not a fan of. Nick House brought it up on this show last week when he suggested that you go look for videos of Jordan covering the Israel-Palestine conflict, which are non-existent. The solution to globalist Zionist capitalism, or the solution to white nationalist capitalism, is not green capitalism. And what's being done to Greta Thunberg, and the way that the daughter of environmental activists whose Asperger's is being put on display as the one child messenger for this wholly original and in no way manufactured construct. Like, I don't know. If you're a serious journalist, if Jordan considers himself a very serious journalist, if you're a serious journalist, you owe it to yourself. You're a serious person, and you owe it to yourself to go read Whitney Webb's piece from February that I've talked about several times on this show, about corporations see a different kind of green in AOC's Green New Deal. Go read Cory Morningstar's giant body of work. It's a multi-volume 2-part series called The Manufacturing of Greta Thunberg for Consent. Al Gore and some dude whose last name is literally Blood called what their push for greening the planet, they called it an investment in long-term greed, for fuck's sake. Like, a kid is being used by a couple of billionaires with ties to liquid natural gas companies, oil companies. We're talking about Western European oligarchs with a handful of American oligarchs, and they're using this 16-year-old kid to promote their agenda. And their agenda is give us all your fucking money and we'll make the planet marginally better for you. I don't trust the same oligarchs who spent generations destroying the planet to save it. I just don't. The young kids aren't going to stand for corporate greed anymore, but they are. They're getting up and marching out of school side by side for corporate greed. They are unaware that it's for corporate greed. They don't know about green capitalism. They aren't being taught to go read fucking Mint Press News or go read The Art of Annihilation or wrongkindofgreen.com. They're being taught that rightfully that saving the planet is important. They're also being taught wrongfully that the way to do that is through liquid natural gas funded organizations like Sunrise Movement. I am also looking forward to Pepe Escobar's translated interview with Lula. You're sure Greta knows about green capitalism. I have not seen any evidence of that. She's hanging out with Al Gore and Barack Obama and fucking Naomi Klein, and like they're holding her up on this international pedestal while she's being exploited by green capitalists, whom she seems to be very fond of because they're her parents' friends. Like, Greta Thunberg did not happen by accident. This was a construct. And that's what is vitally important to remember. This is part of an agenda, and that agenda does not line up with saving the fucking planet. It literally lines the pockets of the same oligarchs who fucked it up in the first place. I agree that meeting with people doesn't mean you don't hold their agenda. Then follow that all the way through. Follow it all the way through. What is this person saying when they then go out to the public and speak? On whose behalf are they speaking? Who's putting her up there in the first place? Why is she being put up there in the first place? It's a lot messier than people want to believe it is. It is a lot more complicated than this is a random 16-year-old kid or 15-year-old when she started the thing, random 15-year-old kid who just wanted to do the right thing for the planet. If it was that simple, you never would have heard about her in Europe or in America. It would have been one kid that made a poster and sat in front of a government building without a billionaire who runs an NGO or runs a nonprofit happening to walk by to snap a picture of her that he then used to turn into immediate media appearances and an international campaign. I would like this to be genuine, Jilly. I would. I would love for there to be a movement that was spearheaded by people who weren't backed by oligarchs. We're not seeing that in Extinction Rebellion or Sunrise Movement or the guy who's put Greta Thunberg up to all of this. He's got a nonprofit called We Are Out of Time. They brag about being trained by Al Gore. They're still pushing cap and trade and carbon taxes, which are Republican ideas in origin, which are end user punishing, which leave out any responsibility that the 100 corporations that are responsible for the vast majority of the pollution in the environment, leaves out responsibility for them. It's repackaged. It's repackaged capitalism. It's repackaged globalism. It's repackaged fucking usury. And yes, cap and trade are horrible. I have a bunch of stuff to do today. I will probably not be back around tonight, but I will be going live at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning Pacific. I am trying to pull in a couple of guests for that. If you have any suggestions for upcoming guests, please throw them at me. What direction do I think the climate chaos movement should go? What if we use the environment to fix what's broken with capitalism? Because you can't, there's no fixing capitalism. You can't fix something that exists through exploitation. There's no pure form of capitalism. There's no non-exploitive form of capitalism. The very nature of it depends on a clear winner and a clear loser. And the loser in every single case is the worker. The loser in every single case is the person who came to the table with less resources, with poor health, with missed opportunities for higher education because of this capitalism. The only way you can use the environment to fix capitalism is to allow the environment to consume humanity and start over. Do I feel the environmental movement should be nonprofit? If there's a concept of fair trade, not free trade. Well, that's the problem. Nonprofit organizations have become almost its own industrial complex. And this is something that Corey Morningstar talks in her manufacturing of Greta Thunberg series. NGOs and nonprofits throughout the last 40 or so years have become so embedded with the organizations that they were ostensibly created to fight against that there's very little separating the vast majority of nonprofits that you know about. Not the ones that you don't, not the nonprofits that fly completely under the radar, that actually put money into the causes that they're supporting. But the ones that you hear about are the ones that spend 60 to 80 to 90% of all of their donations on themselves and on marketing and on merchandising. It's hard to find a reliable nonprofit or NGO, and it's because you can't expect people to work 60, 80, 100 hours a week for nothing. I've spent a lot of time working with nonprofits. I've spent a lot of time trying to formulate them and build them from the ground up. And it sucks. It's a fuck ton of work that may or may not ever see the light of day that you're not compensated for. Meanwhile, you are putting projects that would help your survival on the back burner because you believe in this thing. It's a fucking struggle. It has to be a labor of love because you're not going to get anything but that out of it. And if you know that going in, it's fine, but man, is it hard. Like, and I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from doing this. I'm still doing it. I'm still in the process of helping build nonprofits. Right now, I have a fucking list of shit that I need to get done content-wise. So I'm obviously not smart enough to follow whatever advice I haven't given on this yet. I wish progressive shows would interview experts to discuss the difference between free and fair trade. We need a discussion going in the U.S. Free trade agreements are a job. Someone from Illinois, I know that to be true. Yeah, I know. But who do you trust to discuss that, Moscow? Who would you trust to have that conversation? If you've got someone who can do that, please send them my way. I'm going to reach out once again to the people from Black Socialists of America, because their organizational leadership seems to have a really, really good knowledge base to be able to field questions like that. So maybe that's what I'll do later this afternoon, is I'll reach back out to Z and those guys and try and get them to come on and do that. But I think that's gonna do it for me for the day. if you find yourself like coming to this channel or telling your friends about the channel, please do that. Please tell your friends about the fucking channel. But if you find yourself doing that and you haven't subscribed to the show already, please the subscribe button, ding the bell for notifications. You guys do tell me frequently that you're not getting notified about the show. I'm trying to make it a point to at least put on the social media networks that I'm active on when I'm going to live stream. If you're not following the show on Twitter, it's at Slow News Day Show. On Facebook, I think it's just Slow News Day. I don't think I added anything else to it there. If you really like the show, you currently support independent media, please consider becoming a patron of the show. You can do so by going to patreon.com/slownewsday. I am really trying to get my shit together on that site. I have not been able to upload videos that I've recorded off of Skype calls for the last week and a half, and it's really fucking frustrating. So I've eliminated that problem by using the free Assange Zoom account. And I should be able to start posting more regular content there. If there's anything you'd like to see happen on that Patreon channel, please let me know. And I am also trying to round up the patrons that I do have to get you guys together so I can do a Sunday night live stream from Patreon, which is a new feature. And it would be, just for the people that are patrons of the show. So there's that. I've got a couple of good interviews coming up over next week. Jason Burmis is going to come on the show. He's an individual who does exhaustive research and relies on the documents themselves rather than any kind of spin coming out of any other network. So as he says, it's not about right and left, it's about right and wrong. Go check out his channel, give him a look. He'll be coming on. The boys from the Canadian conspiracy podcast Grimerica will be coming on soon. I am trying to arrange another sit down with friend of the show, Elizabeth Voss. We always have a very good conversation. And I am trying to arrange a at least like twice a month sort of swap cast with Gordon Dimmick. So there's stuff in the works. I'm stoked about it. Thank you all very much for being a part of this crazy ass thing with me. Mad love to all of you. This has been Slow News Day. My name is Steve Poikinen. I wonder how long it's going to take for the screen to load up so I can get off of the fucking show. All right, there we are. Wow. Live TV, live internet. Good luck to us all. Good luck to us all. I'm just going to sit here and hang out for like another fucking 25 minutes. I just goddamn know it.